As far as the role that China is playing in the renewable energy space, and let's take wind turbines and solar panels, it's not actually necessarily a bad story for the rest of the world. Wind turbine prices have fallen in the last couple of years by around about 20%. A lot of that is due to the efficiency and scale of Chinese manufacturing. What does that do? It means that wind projects that were previously uneconomical become economical. Sites that were previously not feasible become feasible. Subsidies that might otherwise have to be paid by Western and other governments can perhaps operate at lower levels. That's a beneficial story. Similarly for solar panels, the Australian government's drive for enhanced solar energy production in Australia will not be feasible without the benefit of cheap solar panels manufactured in China and imported into Australia. So this isn't a bad story that China is becoming as dominant, as influential in the field of clean technology.
It reduces the cost for everybody else, and also people concerned about climate change, which is a global concern. The lower the carbon emissions from China, the better everybody else is. Do you think, Peter Greenwood, that China bends the international norms or trade rules in its aggressive pursuit of market share in wind and solar?
I'd be inclined to say to that, and I'll defer to a great deal of
expertise.
Here,
yeah.
But I'd be inclined to say they don't bend them any more than anybody else does.
Julian Wong?
Complex question. I'm not sure I have the definitive answer for it. I mean, there's certainly a lot of suggestion that they bend the rules. But I make a slightly different point. I think there's been a lot of criticism about subsidies, unfair subsidies, over subsidies of an industry that render U.S. companies uncompetitive. And I think it's important to note that, at one point in the conversation some years ago, we were saying that China was not doing nearly enough in clean energy. And now they're doing so much more, and we still give them flack.
Too much, yeah.
A second part of that is that if you take a look at the fossil fuel industry and look at the amount of subsidies that are channeled to the fossil fuel industry, they completely dwarf the amount of subsidies in the clean energy industry on a global basis. IEA was saying that
the
subsidies,
International Energy Agency.
The International Energy Agency in Paris was saying that something like $400 to $500 billion per year in subsidies have been funneled to fossil fuels, and that's going to rise, and that doesn't count nuclear energy. It depends on where you start on nuclear energy. Is it clean or is it not clean? But 400 is some fossil fuels, and that's going to rise, and not nearly as much is going to clean energy.